Well, Ryan, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
My
I know it's
pleasure.
kind of
So,
short notice.
yeah, but it's great to catch up with you. Where are you joining us from?
I'm currently in little town, middle of nowhere, just south of Valdosta, Georgia. We're right on the Florida Georgia line. But my company is based out of Jacksonville, Florida, Northeast Florida. So that's where a lot of the work that I do comes from, that Northeast Florida area, coastal. That's
Uh-huh.
where a lot of the wild stuff is.
So, two things there that I have to mention. Worst band of all time, Florida Georgia Line. I don't know if you're a fan, but
Not really.
it'll tell us a lot about you if you say yes. And then, secondly, the Jacksonville, Florida airport might be the worst airport I've been in.
Jacksonville, Florida is the armpit of Florida. That's what a lot of people say. There's a few restaurants that are good, a few things to do now, but like I just had Kendall Gray come last week and spend the week with me. He's a YouTube guy, and I said, man, before we get there, I'm gonna tell you about Jacksonville. It takes about an hour to get from one side to the other because of traffic and just it's the biggest city landmass, and everything is always under construction. And every time you ride by, all the construction workers are just standing there. There might be one guy doing something, the other guys are just pointing around and talking. But
Mhm.
ever since I was a kid, it's always been under construction and like they can't seem to get any projects done. It's
The
crazy.
armpit sounds about right because that airport was pretty gross, and I left there thinking, I thought Florida was nicer than this, but there was like people living in the airport. It was like maybe 2021, so we were just coming out of
Okay.
COVID.
They've just recently kind of renovated everything. The last time we flew through there, maybe about a month ago, it was like brand new airport. So they've redone a lot of stuff,
Oh, okay.
which is
Well, that's
good.
good to hear. But yes, I went there I went there to go snook fishing, and it was awesome experience. Big snook,
Yeah.
which we have snook off the coast of Texas, but they don't get giant like the ones you guys have.
Yeah. There's a guy named Ryan Nitz that I went with a few years ago, and he's like the snook master of Florida. And yeah, we both caught me and my wife. I think she was about 5 months pregnant with triplets. We have triplet 5-year-old
Mm,
boys, and so life is insanely crazy. When I'm not chasing animals, I'm chasing toddlers. I guess they're a little bigger than toddlers now,
mm,
but yeah, she was helping me catch alligators. She was snook fishing, and she never really slowed down. And but yeah, we caught some big snook down there with him.
yeah. In the mangroves or what?
We were actually at the mouth uh, of Jupiter, Florida. I guess the Indian River comes in, and there's the mouth right there. And
Mm,
it was a certain time of year where there are just hundreds of snook laying on the bottom. And he's got a secret bait that he uses, and it's basically just mullet, kind of butterflied, and he throws that down there,
uh,
and they it takes sometimes it takes a little while, 10, 15, 20 minutes, but one just picks it up and grabs it, and you better hang on.
oh
And I
yeah.
think the one I caught, I can't remember if she caught a bigger one, or I think she usually catches the biggest fish of the day, pretty much always. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I think it was like a 40-inch snook, 38, 40-inch snook. It was a big one.
Here's the one that I got. And
Oh, that's awesome.
when I say I got, I mean my wife got.
Yeah, that's a monster. That's a monster.
It was like 44 inches. And we went with Captain Mike Holiday, probably in similar, probably pretty close to where you guys were, I imagine. But
Yeah, I've heard of them. We don't have any fish mounted. I've been thinking about that past few years. It's like we got so much crap mounted. We got
hmm
so many mounts. Our house is too small to put them in. Our house before was bigger, and now a lot of our mounts are out in my shop, and they're kind of exposed to the cold and the humidity and the heat, and they're kind of not doing too well. I need to get them inside, but just
they
nowhere to
need
put
some,
them.
they need some resuscitation. Well,
Yeah, they're going to need a
yeah.
little bit of work.
So my wife caught the big one, and I did not. I mean, I caught some nice ones, but nothing like that. And I didn't tell her I was getting a replica made for her. And my taxidermist, they brought it to the house because I think they were delivering like a wolf I trapped in British Columbia at the same time, a couple other mounts, and they hand it to her, and she's like, "Thanks, I guess."
Really?
I mean, yeah, she had no use for it.
Yeah. We're like, what am
Uh,
I supposed to do with this?
like she's not a hunter, but I was like, this is like the first thing that you've done that relates to what
Yeah.
my passions, and here you go. And
No, you love this.
she's like, this is ugly. Put it in your office. I don't want it in the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah. ungrateful.
That's so. Tell me about the wolf you trapped in British Columbia. I would love to trap a wolf or
Yeah,
shoot a wolf.
so I wanted to get a wolf. Uh, I'm very outspoken on the wolf issue,
Mhm.
and I was like, where? Because I wanted it to be part of a story, right? Like, why would someone kill a wolf by
Yeah.
trapping or hunting or whatever? Um, and I'm not. We're not. I'm not on the side of the fence like some people. It's like we need to eradicate them again. I mean, there's
Hmm.
a place for wolves on the landscape. They just need to be managed, and every
Sure.
state that has wolves needs to be able to manage them with according to their own management plan that they've put in place. But you have
Yep.
the feds blocking states from doing that. So anyway, I was like, where can I go get a wolf? And so I go to the SCI show every year and talk to all the outfitters, and you can book hunts in Wyoming and Montana and Idaho,
Hmm.
and your success rate of even seeing a wolf is like 20%.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10% from the
So
people I've talked to.
much less of even shooting one.
Yeah.
Well, then I found these guys that were their primary source of income was their mountain goat and moose guides in British Columbia, and they're two brothers, and they told me that like, we just kept seeing our wolf or moose population declining, and we do like 30 moose hunts a year, and now we're having a hard time getting our clients their moose, and we start seeing more wolves, and so we just decided we're going to start trapping them. They didn't know anything about trapping, but then they got pretty good at it, and they had a client come in one time just to I think help them do some work in their log cabin, and he tagged along on their trap line. He's like, "You guys should sell this." And dude, they stay booked up like 3 years out now. And so, but
Wow.
you're like 90% to get a wolf.
I would love to go do that.
Yeah.
Love to go do that. Film an
So
episode with them.
yeah. So I booked it, and then I think I was 2 years out when I did it, and got a wolf. We got quite a few links. I don't
Awesome.
know if you could see that with the lighting in here, but
Yeah,
the,
lynx hunts on the bucket list too.
it's a lynx on chasing a pine marten. I got a wolverine. Let's see,
Oh yeah, I see him.
and then my
This was all on
fisher.
the same trip?
Yeah, and then my fisher's back there. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and of course we caught coyotes too, but
That's really cool. A lot of
those were the
all the
main
new
things.
species. Yeah, I'm fascinated with because I've been trapping since I was 12. I caught my first hog with a homemade snare, and so learning about new animals and how and their methods and how to trap them, and that's just fascinating. I love that. That's what I live for.
Yeah, well, you should do that. I'll send you their info after the show. But it's Babine Guides Outfitters, and we had a heck of a time. Spent a week up there with them. Learned a lot. I think we got one wolf, we got three lynx, the fisher, which they only catch like one or two fishers a year. It's kind of on their fringe
Mm,
range. A ton of pine marten, some of those little ermine weasels that they're cool because they turn white in the winter,
yeah,
and then they're darker throughout the rest of the year. And
yeah, like an Arctic fox.
yeah, we didn't get. That's the only thing we didn't get that they offer or that you can catch up there. We didn't get an Arctic fox, but the wolverine we caught in a lynx set, and like the wolf was alive when we walked up to it. I shot it with a 22 cricket, fell over dead. This wolverine I shot 3 times from point blank range. This thing would not die.
I've
And
seen some Wolverine fights
oh
and like the honey badger. They're kind of in that same category. Like
hmm
there's just made, built to be tough,
yeah,
super dense,
have a
incredible
lot of
animal.
respect for it.
Yeah.
Uh, but they were super excited. They said like one out of every 5 guys gets a Wolverine. So not and we had a box. They had a Wolverine box. We didn't catch it in that because the Wolverine ate the wood out of the back to get into the bait instead of coming into the front where he would have got caught. So that was
Oh
a
wow.
smart one. Well, this one we just incidentally caught in a lynx snare. But yeah, that was a cool trip, and I've done a little bit of trapping, not like you, just coyotes around locally. But I respect it, and it's a lost art form. I wish more people did it, and there's lots of reasons why people don't. Fur market's not very good anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, if you fleshed out a Texas coyote and tried to sell the pelt, you'd probably lose money by the amount
You
of
lose money. Yeah,
time
for
you
sure.
invested in it. And then stuff like raccoons, not quite what. There's guys I know that paid for their trucks that are in their 60s and 70s when they were trapping coons.
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore.
No.
And
No, you'll lose money. And
yeah.
you mentioned earlier too, it's a little bit kind of aligns with the same subject, but a little bit off topic, but we were talking about wolves. And you said, hunters need to be more vocal about it and more loud about it. And I think what it is these these animal rights people they have an affinity with wolves, with any type of dog looking face, or
Mm.
bears or cats, and it's all emotional. None of it makes sense.
Yep.
And the more emotional these people are, the louder they are. And the hunters aren't really emotional about it, they're more just fact driven. And so I think that's why we're not as loud about, I mean, I try to be loud about it, and I try to always have a voice and speak my mind. But I think that's the issue, is these these conserv or Democrats and
Mm.
animal rights type people. Um, they're just loud and emotional. And like I said, it's all emotional. None of it makes sense. It's not based on facts. It's based on feelings. And that's not, you can't go about it like that. You have to
No,
go about
that's
it from a
yeah.
biological standpoint.
Social science, which is what that is not science. That's people's feelings.
Mhm.
Science is show me the statistics.
The
How
data.
many wolves are there? Okay, well then do we have a goal? Are we above it or below it? And then we manage from there. I saw this week in an Outdoor Life article, Utah had 3 wolves in northern Utah that they found. Um, Shot them, I assume, out of a helicopter because Utah's like, we didn't sign up for wolves. uh And they have a buffer zone between them and Idaho where they can, I guess, shoot any wolves that come across the state line. Now, I think in southern Utah, if they came from Colorado, they might be federally protected right now. But we have this big vote coming up in the Senate, HB 845, which would federally delist gray wolves, which would be awesome because then you could have the Great Lakes states, which have been handcuffed for decades and their wolf populations are out of control. But
Yep.
you'd give Wisconsin, Michigan, and Minnesota the ability to manage their own wolf populations, which is long overdue. So
Yeah.
I encourage folks to call or email your senator and tell them that, hey, we want this passed. There's no reason, conservation wise, why it shouldn't be.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. People are like that with sharks too, interestingly enough.
Oh yeah.
We have a YouTube channel called It's a Wildlife, and we did a show down there with a guy named Mark the Shark, and this guy is awesome. Like, you either love him or hate him.
Mm-hmm.
But most people love him. A lot of people hate him because he kills sharks, and he hangs them by the tail, and like as a flag, like as he's driving through the bay, all the people are driving by. Most people are like, "Woo." And so we went down and caught a 12-foot tiger shark with him, and killed the shark, did an autopsy on it, pulled out a big sea turtle out of its belly, because that's the primary food source of tiger sharks is sea turtles.
Oh wow.
Sea turtles are protected. Tiger sharks are not protected in federal waters. We were in federal waters. And we got so much hate for that video because, like, why are you killing the sharks? Sharks are a vulnerable species. And I'm
Screw the
like, man,
turtle.
no, they're not. They're like, go to South Florida. People are losing 90% of their fish to bull sharks and to
Mm-hmm.
tiger sharks. And like, sea turtles are protected. And then, like I said, number one food source of tiger sharks, sea turtles. So, it doesn't make any sense, and people have this affinity for it. But it's interesting to see the backlash of that. Like, nobody's killing sharks in South Florida. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this guy is pretty much the only guy, because usually what they do is they grab your line, they take off, and they break the line. Like, you have to have special gear to go after these sharks,
Or
and
people cut
nobody's
the
down there.
line if they realize they have a
Yeah,
shark
they'll
on.
cut the line. They don't have the ability to pull the shark in, or be able to kill the shark, or bring it into the boat. They tear up your boat. So
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very few sharks are actually getting killed and taken out. So people need to do that as well. We need to manage the sharks. They're
Mm.
grossly overpopulated.
Oh, for sure. I've done a couple interviews with Mike Young, or no, Mike Leonard of the American Sport Fishing Association over the years, and that's one thing that, and it's not just Florida. It's this, Discovery Channel has Shark Week, and so now we put the shark up on the pedestal with the wolves and bears and mountain lions. Dude, I want to make a shirt that says "Make shark fin soup great again."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, that's
what
what
is
people go to mentally, is that,
yeah,
in Japan, they are over sharking
sure,
and in certain areas, but that's just in certain areas. In
yeah.
South Florida, it's a different ecosystem. It's a totally different world down there.
Well, it's not
And
just South Florida. I mean, it's North America. Americans are not
yeah,
killing a lot of sharks, and
right.
it's that mindset. Well, okay, well, what are they doing to the rest of our sport fishing population. These species
Yeah,
like
I
that
know.
that actually create revenue, right? A lot of revenue, or create food sources for 350 million Americans. You go to the grocery store. Okay, there's the red snapper. I mean,
Yeah.
the sharks, like again, like the wolves, we don't want to eradicate them. Sharks are
No,
cool. They have a place,
no. Yeah.
but you can't protect them and then pretend like that you're not going to have an out of balance ecosystem.
Right, 100%. Yeah, there's very few fish down there in some of the areas. Like there's the fish are gone.
Mm,
And one I remember there was one girl that was giving us some hate about it because she just loves sharks. And literally in her profile picture is her and holding a mahi mahi dolphin in front of, and she had about 50 dolphin hanging up behind her. And it's like you just killed 50 mahi mahi, and you're not okay with killing one shark and protecting,
mm.
saving how many sea turtles? How many other fish
Was
and,
it Kelly Young?
yeah, I wasn't gonna mention a name, but yeah, yeah, she loves sharks.
I know. So Kelly is a friend and has been on the show, and we did get sideways during our conversation about sharks. And she's been bit by a lemon shark. Had to go to the hospital. Has a nasty scar on her
Mm-hmm.
arm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's a shark lover, and it's weird because she's a hardcore, like you said, spear fisherman,
Mm-hmm.
and has no problem catching and killing and eating. That's her whole page: is catch, kill it, show how they cook
Mm-hmm.
it. Travels all over the world filming this stuff for her YouTube channel. But then when it comes to sharks, she's like, I can't get down with it.
Yeah, and I understand where she's coming from, because sharks are they're coolest. I mean, they're so freaking cool, and I have a ton of respect for them. It's kind of like mountain lions too. Like they're to me, a mountain lion is the baddest predator in North America just because of their elusiveness. I've been on
Mm-hmm.
3 mountain lion hunts and not gotten one yet. I'm going to Montana in December, and I've got really high um, success rates up there where we're going. So hoping to get one, but they're just like so cool. It's I know it's going to be bittersweet putting an arrow through one when I do
Mm-hmm.
because just the respect that I have for the animal and how hard I'd work to get. But with sharks, it's just like there's no argument. Like you go anywhere out there and they hear the boat and they come up and they start,
Mm-hmm.
you catch the first fish and they're already all over you in swarms. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's just no argument.
Oh yeah. So when we were on that snook trip, I was talking to Mike about tarpon fishing. He's a big tarpon fisherman. That's actually his favorite. He's like, man, it's really hard now to do a guided tarpon trip because after you fight the tarpon and they're hellacious fighters, they're so tired when you put them back in the water, the shark just comes and just eats it. He's like, and I
Hmm.
don't want to see my tarpon just getting wiped out because of me, because
Yeah.
of something I did.
Yeah.
He's like, so it's like I don't even want to book tarpon trips anymore because the shark
Hmm.
population's so out of control.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is weird. I wasn't surprised when you said it was Kelly, but
Yeah.
she just has that one hang up. She loves the sharks. Um, but yeah, that'll be great that you're going back on a mountain lion hunt number 4. It took me 3 trips to Colorado to get mine,
Yeah.
and they used to have an April season. They've since done away with it, unfortunately. But it was like just the dry ground season. So I went in April, and I've told this story before, but I did 7 days. The conditions, it would like sleet or it would rain, and it just wasn't good for dry ground hunting. And we'd run a track, and then it would go cold. And so
Hmm.
after 7 days, I called my wife, and I was like, "Hey, when do you have to go back to work?" And she's like, "Don't do it, USOB." And I was like, "I'm probably gonna stay like 3 or 4 more days." So I
Yeah.
did, and I still didn't get one.
Yeah.
So I went back in December the next year, and we caught 2 females. And he told me before he let the dogs out on the track, he's like, "I think they're females, but we'll see. At least she'll get to go to the tree, right?" And they
Yeah.
were. And so he doesn't kill females, and
Right.
so we let them go. And that's why hounds are such a great management tool. People think it's
Yeah.
so cruel. You're letting these dogs treat these cats. Well, yeah. Then you can get literally he's climbing up the tree with the cat in it. I'm like, you're insane. No, he does it every time, and he sexes them. And he's like, that's a female. So we let him
Yeah.
go. So I go back the next December, and he calls me. He's like, man, he's like, there's not going to be any snow. I don't know if it's worth coming. I was like, well, that's great because I wanted to do it on dry ground anyway. That's the reason why I booked with you because you're the best. And we went, and the first day caught ended up being a female, but the circumstances were different because we were now on a private ranch, and a mountain lion had killed 2 foals. And
Mm.
so the landowner was like, I don't care what it is. If you catch it, though, you kill it.
Yeah. Nuisance cat.
Yeah. And so he looked at me and he was like, "Well, if you have your heart set on a big tom still, then I'll shoot the cat." And I was like, "Dude, we've spent like 18 days together at this point,
Mhm.
and we did it on dry ground, which is what I wanted to do. We're on mules on dry ground, and free casting the dogs. They picked up the scent. Actually, found an elk kill, and they
Mhm.
trailed it from there. I was like, I think this is the right cat because then otherwise we have to go kill another cat. Like that doesn't make any sense. And I think we've
Yeah.
earned it at this point. So, but I didn't end up getting it full body mounted because I still do want to get a big pumpkin head, big old
Yeah.
tom. So I have a nice pelt hanging up here in the office, but
That's
that was
awesome.
yeah,
I've been on 3 lion hunts. The first one, within 45 minutes of the first day, we treat a big female, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be easy." Good snow and
oh,
everything. And
psych.
then we treat another female a couple days later. Never got on a tom. The last one we went on, we had a tom. It was in Utah, and this was on the Indian reservation. They had a tom that had killed two desert bighorn sheep, and they were
Mm,
both radio collared. That's how they found out about it. And we got into this big mountain range where he was hanging out, and I think we found like 5 or 6 kills, mule deer kills. He was just a little murderer.
oh
And
yeah.
it was cool because he was a really big cat and he had a really big stride, but he had small feet for his size. So that's how
Huh.
we knew it was him. Like we measured the stride. We're like, obviously this is a huge male, but he had just oddly small feet for how
Hmm.
big the cat was. But we cold trailed him, and I remember it was snow on one side of the mountain, and the dogs were like burning it up. And I'm literally getting my bow and my backpack ready and everything. I'm like, here we go. It sounded like they were running him. And what it was is it was just holding that scent in the snow. The sun was on the other side of the mountain. So when they hit the top and went down, the sun had already dried everything out and evaporated, and they literally couldn't even smell it when they got to the other side. So we just
Mm,
kind of cold trailed for a few days. We kept missing him. We were a day off. We'd
yeah.
go over here and he'd be a day, yet night before last he was over here and they'd just cold trail it, but we never ended up jumping him. And I don't think they ever ended up. I don't know if they ended up getting that cat or not, but not while we were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keeps you just wanting to keep going though.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing like trailing a pack of hounds in the mountains, especially
It's
once they
amazing.
start working a scent. That'll get your blood flowing for sure. Um, well, so what is your favorite thing to hunt?
I mean, I would probably say mountain lions. I tell people all the time if I could do anything, it would be I'd live out there in the Midwest and I'd have a pack of lion hounds, and that's what I would do.
Hmm.
Just because I'm kind of a houndsman at heart. I grew up deer hunting with hounds, and I'm not really into it nowadays that I've learned more about whitetail deer. I raise whitetail deer. That's one of the things that we do, and I've learned more about the whitetail deer in the first year of raising them than I have in a lifetime of hunting them. As far as the diseases and how they catch it and how they catch certain things and how they eat, how they behave, their antlers, like you can't judge a yearling by his antler size. He may be a spike as a yearling and over 200 inches as a 2-year-old. It's just incredible learning about them. But yeah, if I could hunt anything, it would definitely be hound hunting of some sort, but probably mountain lion hunting. And
Hmm.
second would be bear hunting with hounds. It's just so much fun. The thing I like about lion hunting is you can treat that cat. People think it's like inhumane and cruel or whatever. It's not cruel at all. The cat hears the dogs coming, he gets winded. They can't really run for long periods of time, and they climb up in a tree and they're settled up in a tree. With like bear hunting or hog hunting, you typically got to get there pretty quick. Sometimes the bears will tree, but a lot of
Hmm.
times they'll stay on the ground and fight the dogs. And there's a lot more dogs that get hurt or killed, bear hunting or hog hunting because you got to, especially with hog hunting, if they get in there and they catch that hog, the goal is to get the dogs off the hog as quick as possible because it's very dangerous. So
Oh, I've
that's a
seen
lot of
them have
fun
to get
too.
stapled up.
Yeah, I've had to staple dogs. I've had to stuff their guts back in and sew dogs on the tailgate of my truck. I did that from the time I was 16 to the time I was 30. I actually got bit by a hog on the fingers, really bad hog bite, and that
Hmm.
was July 23rd, 2015. About a week later, I started having like upset stomach, anxiety, no energy whatsoever, fatigue like you
Trichinosis
wouldn't
or
believe.
brucellosis?
They don't know.
Oh,
I've had like 5 brucellosis tests, and every one of them has come back negative. Seen over 150 doctors all over the country over the past 11 years, and they can't figure out what it is.
so man, that makes me want to start wearing latex gloves when I'm messing with hogs, because I don't.
I'm telling you, man, I wear double latex gloves when I'm skinning hogs, and you'll still like nick yourself or whatever, and like, man, what's the point of even putting gloves on? But
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was either from the hog bite or from the antibiotics they gave me because it was a week later. Like I said, achy bones, achy joints, brain fog.
Huh.
I have good days and bad days. Today I'm having a pretty good day, but it's just they can't figure out what it is. And I went from 170 pounds to 133 in about 3 months. I thought I
And
was done.
I'm sure you've been tested for like
Everything.
tick-borne diseases too.
Yeah, I was treated for Lyme disease for 2 years. Me and Gloria and my wife were flying from Florida to Washington, D.C. every 3 months being treated for Lyme disease. I got a little bit better and I kind of plateaued and then I started going back downhill. And, I went through Mayo Clinic. They tested me for Lyme disease. They don't really believe in Lyme disease, but they still have a test for it. And they said I do not have the antibodies.
Huh.
I would still have the antibodies if I ever had Lyme, and if I ever had brucellosis or trichinosis, that would show up. And they've tested me, like I said, 5 different times.
Hmm.
One doctor, infectious disease doctor, he has a theory. Says just a theory, but he says, you might have gotten brucellosis from the hog bite, and then all the antibiotics that you've been on over the years killed the brucellosis, but the residual damage is still there, and brucella tests are kind of unreliable.
Hmm.
So that's kind of his theory, which I don't know.
My buddy and I went to Tennessee last spring to try to hunt easterns for the first time. We have Rios here primarily, and uh, he texted me like 2 days after we got back. He's like, "Remember that time we went to Tennessee and you shot a turkey and I got Lyme disease?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah, dude. Because I did see him pull a tick off like while we were there at our hotel, and he's like, "Man, I've never been bit by a tick." He's more of a golfer, but had it in his head he wanted to shoot a turkey, and we've gone on multiple turkey hunts in Texas unsuccessfully. And he didn't get one this time, but he did get Lyme disease. Anyway, he's like, "I've never been bit by a tick." I was like, "Dude, don't worry about it. I've been bit by like hundreds of them, and I never got sick or anything." But now he was hunting in tennis shoes, and I had on rubber boots, right, with my pants tucked into the rubber boots. So anyway, he said I started feeling bad. I had headache, diarrhea. He's like, so I just called my doctor, and the tick bite got red and everything. And she's like, "Oh yeah, you have Lyme disease," and put him on antibiotics. And like 3 days later, he was fine. So,
Mm.
but yeah, I don't know what's up with you.
Yeah, I wish somebody could figure it out. That was one thing too. I started off going to Baptist Infectious Disease, and they tested me and they said, which makes no sense to me. They said you don't have Lyme disease, but you've been in contact with a tick that carried Lyme disease sometime in the past 6 months. This is what they told me. They said we're going to put you on 10 days doxycycline,
Yeah,
which is the antibiotic, and we're going to test you again in 6 weeks. I came back 6 weeks later. They tested me again. I was like 15 pounds lighter, felt worse, and everything was clear on the Lyme test. And they said, the doctor looked at me and said, "Sir, there's nothing wrong with you." And I stood up and I said, "You can tell me you haven't found what's wrong with me. Don't tell me there's nothing wrong with me. I don't want to
yeah,
be here. I'm not a hypochondriac. I'm
right,
not losing 15 pounds in the last 6 weeks because it's in my head."
yeah.
So it's crazy, but not to rule out Lyme disease because I know that test is kind of it's not really reliable as well. There's a test called.
They didn't test my buddy. She just said, "Yeah, I
They didn't
think
even
you."
test them. Yeah,
No, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been covered in thousands of ticks, literally thousands of the seed ticks,
Mm-hmm.
multiple times. I've got videos of just thousands on my pant leg,
Ugh.
and they're so bad here in Florida. As worse as I've ever seen anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, who knows? Who
At
knows what
least
it
we don't
is?
have the red meat allergies yet.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't be good.
Oh man.
We live
Um,
off venison.
yeah. So you still do a lot of hog dogging?
I don't do barely any hog dogging anymore. I sold my dogs when I got bit. I sold my dogs when I turned 30. And I don't really do most of the hogs we catch are with traps. We have, remote control cellular
Hmm.
traps that I can go on and live watch them, live stream it, and then close the gates when I want to.
Hmm.
And that's most of the hogs that we capture. A lot of them I'm shooting with thermals at night, in between houses and neighborhoods, backsides of ponds and things like that. Um, I had a goal of 5,000 hogs since I started keeping count about 8 or 9 years ago. I'm at like 4,758 hogs, or I'm no four. Yeah, somewhere right around. I got like 250 hogs to go before I hit 5,000. I was
Oh
trying to hit
wow.
5,000 by the end of 2025, but I need a few more months to stack them up.
Uh-huh. So what is Florida's law on um feral hogs? Like, and what I mean by that is people in Texas, or really, I think it's people outside of Texas that want to complain about this, but they see a tailgate of 15 to 20 hogs that some guys shot with thermals, and they get all butthurt because, well, yeah, we didn't clean those hogs. It's 100 degrees outside in the summer in Texas, and we legally can't take them to the processor once they're dead because of those diseases that we've already talked about. And
Yeah, well,
so
you're
our
talking about a significant, catastrophic nuisance animal,
mhm.
and I've never heard this until about the past year. Like people, there's a big Facebook page in the area that I remove hogs from, and there's a lot of people on there that are like, the hogs were here first, and this whole thing I've started hearing, like Hernando
The
de
hogs came
Soto
with the
introduced.
Spanish, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Hernando de Soto introduced domestic swine into Florida in 1539, and in the 1800s they brought in the Eurasian wild boar. So you'll have areas where there's like more Eurasian bloodline and then more feral bloodline, just feral pigs in certain areas. Um, but it's a huge nuisance situation. They are catastrophic to our ground nesting birds, turkeys, quail, things like that. They carry a whole lot of human diseases and animal diseases, pseudorabies, trichinosis, brucellosis, E. coli, and there are millions and millions and millions of feral hogs. So it's like trapping rats. Nobody is going to get onto me or give me chew me out because I trapped 20 rats in this lady's attic. They're a
Yeah.
nuisance. They're a nuisance
Hmm.
animal. They're not supposed to be in that location. Same with the hogs. During the summertime, it gets so hot, those hogs spoil within an hour. You can't always get
Yeah.
them to an end location.
Well, and
And
especially with thermals, I mean, let's be honest. You shoot the first one in the head, shoulder, wherever, it usually drops. After that, it's just shoot them in the hog. It's
yeah,
all hell
yeah,
breaks loose. And
yeah,
so a lot of them are gut shot anyway. And just being totally transparent.
yeah.
And, those are going to spoil even quicker.
Take them out. Just any means
Yeah.
necessary. We shot 82 hogs out of a helicopter last March in Dallas, or a little south of you, a little
No,
south of
I saw
Dallas.
that. So those are my friends. You were with Target Rich Environment.
Yeah, yeah, great
Yeah.
group of guys. Had a
Charles and Brett.
funnest thing a human can do. Yeah, Brett.
Uh-huh.
Funnest
Yeah.
thing a human can do is shoot hogs out of a helicopter. Shot 82 hogs, and where we were flying over is marshy stuff, wet marsh, and they can't get to it other than by helicopter. And there's just no way to pick up those hogs. So it's coyote food,
Hmm.
and you're just talking about such high numbers. I'm big on not wasting anything we can save and put to good use. We do. So I've got a whole bunch of Vietnamese guys that actually take a lot of the hogs that I kill. But
Hmm.
like I said, during the summer when it's hot, you're not going to save
But
them.
can you legally? So that's what I was going to say is we can't. Like you can donate a white-tailed deer to Hunters for the Hungry. You shoot it, you field dress it, you take it to the processor, and they'll donate it to homeless people. You can't do that with the hog because of those diseases. And Texas Animal Health Commission, I believe, is the overseer of that. It's not even like a Texas Parks and Wildlife thing. Can you do that in Florida?
Yeah, you can. I've contacted Hunters for the Hungry. I've contacted pastors, and nobody really wants to mess with the hogs.
Mm,
It's like my group of Vietnamese guys, and I think I've got one guy from Trinidad that loves them, loves the meat, and that it's just like a delicacy to them. I don't know what
mm,
they do with them, but they take them certain times a year. It's like it seems like when I don't have a lot of hogs is when they want them, and then I have like a pile of them. Catch
mm.
80 in a month, and they don't really want to mess with them. But yeah, they take them. They love them, and I love that it's going to good use. It's not going to waste.
I one time shot a limit of ringnecks, so not the best tasting duck, and stopped. Me and my brother stopped to get Thai food, and the the lady who saw we were wearing camo and in broken English, she's like, "What were you guys doing?" And we're like, "Well, we went duck hunting." And she's like, "Did you get ducks?" Like, "Yeah, you want to see them?" Well, she ended up with the ringnecks, and we ended up with a free lunch.
Oh wow, that worked out. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's a good feeling. It's just a good feeling.
yeah.
But to answer your question about like Florida and the laws, there are no laws restricting how you can hunt them, when you can hunt them. You can hunt them at night. You can hunt them
Yeah.
with thermals. You can hunt them with grenades.
Hmm.
Uh, you
Which is
can,
fine.
pistols,
And do
whatever.
that. The guys that blow them up with tannerite, like, just don't put it on social media, please. Like, if you're
Yeah,
gonna grenade them or
yeah,
with tannerite,
yeah.
because it makes us all look like just hillbillies.
Yeah,
There's
you
some things you
cannot
shouldn't put out there.
transport. Yeah, exactly. You can't transport hogs, wild hogs, or any hogs in the state of Florida without a feral swine dealer license, which I have. So if you can't transport them alive, they have to be dead
Uh,
without that permit.
oh, yeah, that's not a thing in Texas. But we do have hog buyers, so that's the only way you can
Hmm.
take a hog in is alive, and
Hmm.
then a lot of that meat ends up in Europe. Honestly,
Mm.
after they butcher it, Europeans have a real palate for wild boar. And
Yeah.
when you say it's from Texas, well, then it's like exotic, right?
Right.
We just shoot them and leave them there, but
Yeah.
they want them. So, yeah, that's interesting. But your hog hunting culture is a lot like ours. No regulations, no limit. Just get rid of them. And I've never met a landowner who was like, "Please don't shoot feral hogs." They're like, "Thank you for
I've
shooting
met
all the
one.
feral hogs."
I've met one in the however many years I've been doing this since I was 12. I caught my first hog with a homemade snare and really got into it when probably late teens. But I had one. We were dragging out a sow and she was squealing, dragging it. Usually we shoot them in the trap. That's how
Mm-hmm.
we do it nowadays. But every once in a while we'll catch them alive if somebody wants them alive, or if I've got another ranch that wants to buy a big load of them. We're dragging out this hog and this guy comes out and he says, I want to let you know that what the association is doing is wrong. And I've had people talk about like squirrels and raccoons and cute little feral cats. They're trying to protect them and things, but I've never had anybody with a wild hog like get protective over it and defensive. And I said, what do you mean? What is the association doing? He said, removing the hogs. They were here first. I said, if you'd like to come out and have a conversation, I'd be glad to educate you. And he said, if you step foot on my property, I'm calling the cops. Come to find out, this guy was a huge problem. This is like a 600 house neighborhood, big
Uh-huh.
development. And I contacted the HOA and I said, hey, just a heads up, this guy might be complaining. And they said, I already know. They said, was it blah, blah, blah address? And I said, yeah. And they said, we already know he's a big problem. He's tried to sue the HOA twice and
Hmm.
from New York and moved down here, and they just don't know the rules, don't know the lifestyle, and they're
Yeah.
just out there, man. Space cadet.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's interesting. Protect the feral hogs. They were here first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so are you familiar with Travis Thompson in all Florida?
I'm not.
You check them out. It's a great conservation organization. Just had him on a couple weeks ago. But we talked a lot about Florida deer hunting culture, and I know you're a big bow hunter.
Hmm.
So go back to raising deer though. You started doing that, and are you
Yeah.
selling
Yeah.
hunts or selling breeder bucks or?
Yep, yeah. So a little bit of there's like a breeder industry, and then there's a kind of a shooter or stalker industry that you want to stock your preserve with to better
Mm,
your genetics. We live on a 253-acre preserve, and so we've got breeder bucks and breeder does that have just outstanding pedigrees. And we actually brought in embryos. So Florida is a closed border state. You can't transport deer in or out of the state of Florida. The second best way to do it is artificially inseminate. You're buying the semen, you're putting that in the doe, impregnating the doe with the semen. That betters your top side of your pedigree, your sire side. But if
mm,
you have a mediocre doe, doesn't really, you're going to have half mediocre deer. So then the very best way to do it is to actually get embryos. It's kind of like in vitro. You get the embryos, and we got the embryos from Texas farms, some different Texas farms, some outstanding pedigrees. Put them in our doe. She's our recip, and then the recip carries the fawn, has the fawn, carries it like she doesn't know it's not hers,
mm,
and it's a totally different bloodline. So that's what we've done the past few years and gotten some excellent genetics. And these genetics are so good they'll never go out to like a preserve for hunting. They're going to go to a breeder, another breeder, and it's less like breeding dogs, breeding racehorses. It's all about the pedigree
mm,
and kind of the look that the deer has. So it's very interesting. I first got into it. I have one of my dad's friends. I've known him my whole life. Name is Mike, and he needed help moving a deer, tranquilizing and moving a deer to another farm. So I went over there, and as soon as we tranquilized it, and I got hands on this animal, like touching and feeling and looking at, breathing the breath of the biggest deer I've ever seen, just was an unexplainable experience. And I was like, man, this is awesome. That's kind of what got me into. I was like, I want to have a few deer just to look at. And the property
mm,
we lived on before this, it was 40 acres, and we fenced in about 25 of it, mostly wooded. And I think I bought four bred does and a buck. And that's kind of how it started. They didn't really have any pedigrees. They were just Texas deer.
mm,
And so just wanted to look at them. And then one thing kind of leads to another. You start getting into the pedigrees. And then before you know it, you want to have the best pedigrees in the country. And I tell people that want to get into the deer business, like you need to have $100,000 or $200,000 and this isn't me, by the way, that you just are willing to burn. It's kind of like that's why they call it livestock. It's like stock goes up, stock goes down. You
Mm,
might lose it all. There's a way to make money in the deer business, but it's usually going to take about 5 years and having being really lucky and having a lot of good things, go your way. But deer are born and they're looking for a way to die. They're a very fragile animal. It seems like they're tough in the wild, but they're fragile as far as in captivity. They just are so susceptible to so many microorganisms and parasites. And you basically got to be a vet raising these deer. You got to know all the medications. And like I
mm,
can go into my deer pens and I can tell if one of my does isn't feeling good just by her mannerisms, by her body language. If she's got little droopy ears, squinty eyes, dry nose, kind of laying over by herself, just the way she's behaving. And you got to be in the pen all the time to know your deer to be able to know, hey, that one's not feeling good. It's very interesting.
mm. Yeah. So did you have to take out all your native genetics before you put them on there?
So when the farm that we bought, they left about 20 native deer. And those 20 native deer over the course of a few years explode to hundreds. And so yes, what we did is we put a freeze brand on their hip so I can identify that's one of my does. I didn't want deer running around with tags on their ears, so I put a freeze brand on their hip, released those bred does, and then we tried to kill every other not, native deer that was already here because they're potentially 110 inch deer
Yeah,
and
that's
it
a big
costs
one in
us.
Florida.
That's a big one. Yeah, like 120 inch. I mean, I killed one a couple years ago, about 3 years ago. That was like 140. Big, beautiful
Giant.
11 point. Yeah, it's just a giant for our area, but they don't get that big normally.
Hmm.
So they average, 110, 120 inches is a nice average deer, and it costs the same for me to feed that deer as it does to feed a 220 inch deer. So it
Yeah.
just makes sense. You want the bigger deer and breed for those big genetics.
Well, I've hunted high fences. Obviously, that's a big thing in Texas, and I don't put as I've gotten older. The high fence trophy doesn't mean as much to me when it comes to a whitetail as like a free range one. But
Yeah, I
I,
don't
but
I
I
don't like high fence hunting at all.
but I
The only
still I
Go
will
ahead,
still
sorry.
do it. For instance, this was probably a decade ago. That was like a 220-inch buck right there by the bear. And my buddy Clayton was like, "Hey, come hunt the biggest deer on my property, and then help me sell some hunts." And I was like, "Say no more, like I'm not gonna. Sure, I'll come to your beautiful ranch and shoot a 220-inch deer." And people walk in the studio and they look at that buck and they're like, "Oh, tell me about that." And I'm like, that was cool, and it was a fun hunt. But let me tell you about this deer I shot on the top of, the Pecos Wilderness in New Mexico, backcountry, by
Yeah,
myself. That's what I
yeah.
want to tell you about. But anyway, he had a cool story because this deer, although he was a high fence deer, he learned the sound of his Jeep, and whichever setup the Jeep was at, he wasn't.
Mm.
And he'd been trying to kill the deer all season. This was like last weekend. He was like, "Come on, dude, you help me book some hunts for next year." So we go, and he's like, "We're gonna do something different. We're gonna park at this setup, and we're just gonna walk a mile to the other one. I promise you, he's gonna be there." And he showed up. But when we were driving back, he was telling me about how he had to shoot all the native genetics and how you mentioned how fickle the high fence deer can be when it comes to they're just not as hardy as the natives. And he said, "Dude, the worst thing I ever saw, and I was so disgusted." He goes, "The biggest buck that I had, or the most expensive deer I had, and he has like 500 acres fenced in." He's like, "I was driving around the ranch one night in my headlights. I see this piece of crap 8 point native deer just spear my high dollar buck in the side, and I knew immediately he was going to die." He's like, "I found him dead like 2 years or 2 days later. Like just
I've
took him
seen that
out."
happen a handful of times. A
Mm,
little, like literally 100 inch 8 point come in. We called him the Bully Eight, this one last
mm,
year. Come in and run away, run off a 220 inch deer. So
yeah,
it's not about what's up top, it's about what's in here.
right.
They're just meaner, they're more hardy. They're
Yeah.
used to fighting for food, running from predators, fighting for love,
Uh-huh.
fighting
Yeah.
to breed, and so yeah, they're a lot more hardy. But to touch on the high fence thing, it it really is all in how the place is managed. I've been to a place in Texas, and I usually don't name drop, but I will name drop this one, the G2 Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never go back there. As we were getting in the stand, there's like 8 deer bucks over 200 inches, 15 to 20 yards away, just standing there watching us get in the blind.
Where's
And I'm
my
like,
corn?
I'm like, well, yeah, exactly. They're just pets. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
But yet our place is 250 acre, a little over 250 acres fenced in. We've got axis deer. We've got probably somewhere around 40, a herd of about 40 axis deer. We've probably got 8 to 10 good breeder buck. I mean, good shooter bucks, like big ones. And about a month and a half ago, I had 3 guys spend the whole weekend here, hunt Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning. One of them even stayed Sunday night and hunted the evening hunt, trying to get an axis buck. They all went home empty-handed. They ended up shooting. One of them shot a black buck antelope, and another one shot a fallow buck. Just kind of
Mm.
settled, but they wanted
You've got your
axis.
own little Texas ranch right there in Florida.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
We do.
that's
It's
awesome.
we're booked out. Yeah, I would give it a shout out, but we can't take any more. We're
Yeah.
completely booked. But I get calls like I got a call, Florida's tough. There's so many people. And I got a call that kind of stands out to me this past year and he was like, I've been bow hunting for 3 years. He said, I've been hunting all these management areas everywhere I can. Never killed a deer with my bow. He said, I finally, this past weekend, I got a Georgia hunt up in a management area I was looking forward to. Hunted the whole weekend. He said, I saw one doe like too
Mm.
far out of bow range. He said, I just want to kill a deer with my bow. That's why I'm calling you. And so it just depends on how the place is managed. Like I said, there's a lot of high fence places that you're going to it's like going to the grocery store and picking out which one you want. But there's some, that
Mm.
140 buck I killed a couple years ago, I hunted him for 2 months before I killed him with my bow. 2 months, like 3 to 4 days a week. I mean, so it just depends on how it's managed. And,
Hmm.
um, there's a lot of different variations depending on the place.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not against it at all. Uh, and I do enjoy. It really, I don't. I haven't hunted a whitetail in eye fence in a long time, but exotics all day long. Sign me up. I'm in. And then Africa, 30,000 acres. Is that really a high fence?
No,
I mean, you
no.
see it when you drive in the
Keep
property.
the poachers out. Yeah.
You never see it again. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's for. Um, you wouldn't think that a 2,000 pound bull eland could jump over an 8 foot fence, but they do. It's crazy.
Wow, that'd be
Yeah.
cool to see.
Hmm. Well, so as far as you and what your other deal is, so you grew up with dogs and lifelong outdoorsman and trapping. What is quick catch though? What is this other? Is it a side hustle or is it your main business?
Quick Catch is our main business. Yeah, I
Okay.
started it in 2007. It's a nuisance wildlife removal company, and we remove anything from animals getting into people's attics, so squirrels, raccoons, rats, possums, flying squirrels, Muscovy ducks, Canadian geese, peacocks, snakes of all different sizes, hogs. That's my
Mm.
favorite. The hogs is my favorite because I'm really good at it, and it's actually gotten very difficult because these hogs are educated. All the dumb ones have pretty much been caught. Every once in a while, I'll get a property that where the hogs
And
haven't
you
been
can
messed with,
shoot
but
hogs with a gun and a thermal in neighborhoods.
yeah, I can. Yeah.
What kind of what is your setup for that?
So I mean, it's suppressed. I'm using a
Yeah.
suppressed 300 blackout. I just bought a 338 arc that I haven't.
Okay.
I just had to get a new suppressor because it's a bigger bullet, bigger diameter bullet. So I haven't gotten it yet. Ain't gotten it in yet, but I'm really excited to try that on hogs. But I'm using subsonics for the most part and a suppressor, so it's quiet. I let everybody know I'm going to be there. I'm going to be shooting. A lot of the neighborhoods, a couple of the neighborhoods I manage, the main ones, they know who I am. I've got about 5 or 6 spots in the neighborhood, and they just know my truck, know who I am. And then I call the sheriff's office. Hey, I'm going to be shooting tonight between 7 and 9 p.m. Here's my location, and,
Okay.
and they appreciate that.
Uh-huh. So that's the main thing though that you like is the hog eradication.
That's the main thing that I enjoy spending my time doing because I'm good at it. I can knock down some numbers, and it does take a whole lot of technique, and it's a challenge. If I never trap rats in an attic again or pull out a dead possum underneath somebody's house, if I never do that again, I'm happy. I'm good because that's not a
So
lot of fun.
I uh I have a lot of fun thermal hog hunting and have we so on our deer leases we have giant wheat fields and I mean there's always feral hogs in these I mean just nonstop and it's like I didn't get a deer, all right, well let's go shoot some pigs, or I didn't see the buck I was after, let's go shoot some pigs. There's always something to shoot. I mean as far as pigs they're always in the wheat
Yeah,
field and there's
yeah.
so many. And I don't know, man, I've not killed 5,000, but I'd say 50 to 75 hogs a year. Just
Hmm.
we're spring turkey hunting, didn't get a turkey or got a turkey or whatever. let's go shoot some pigs. It's just a
Yeah.
constant. It's just it is what it is. When I'm at the deer lease, we're gonna go shoot some pigs. They might come to the feeder, you know,
Yeah.
but you're always gonna see them, and so that's why I think like that. My buddy's show, Target Rich Environment. That's just like that
Hmm.
is Texas hog hunting right
Yeah.
there, summarized.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love and you can get within like people don't realize, especially if you're in a neighborhood, but you can get 40 yards away from them. You know.
Yes. Yeah. These hogs in the neighborhoods are, I'd say, more weary than hogs out in farms that I've dealt with. They kind of know that line of where humans are and where humans aren't, and so that when they get close to that line, because I'm hunting the preserve basically right, on the edge of it. I can't go into the preserve, but I can, be along close to it,
Uh-huh.
right where the neighborhood property is. So it's like when they get to that boundary closer to where humans are, they're fully alert. So they're fully alert and very smart and
Mm.
very educated. And lately, I've had hogs that won't even go into my traps. I mean, we're talking two gates side by side is that 16-foot wide opening, and the trap itself is maybe 40 feet across. It's a huge trap. I used to catch them in 4 foot by 8 foot box traps that would slide in the bed of my truck.
Mm.
Now they're not even going in. Some of these hogs that are being messed with by other trappers and shot at, they're trap shy or they're even bait shy. They won't come to corn. They consider corn dangerous because they've seen some of their comrades shot off of corn and trapped with corn. So yeah, I
Yeah.
developed a hog attractant that I've been using, that is it's based with sour corn, but it's got a different smell to it. It's got a lot of different fruit and stuff in it, fermented fruit. And so I developed that because I wanted a different scent other than just the corn, because a lot of these seemingly bait shy
Mm.
hogs.
Have you ever tried diesel? I remember like it was probably
I
oh, it was like
have.
15 years ago, and
Yep.
the guy we stopped to get diesel, and it was like the first thermal hog hunt I'm going on, and I was like, "Oh, was that for the buggy or whatever?" He's like, "No, no, no, we're gonna dig a hole and put corn in the hole and dump the diesel in there." I'm like, "Oh, shot a big boar off of it that night. I don't know, but
Yeah, ecologically, like from a dumping diesel on the ground safety standpoint, it's not necessarily the healthiest thing for the environment. I'd say. I
mm,
don't know how bad it is, but I've been talking to some I've talked to some people about that, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't know if you should pour diesel on the ground." But
yeah,
anyway, I did do it, and this was in a place where it was just so many deer. The deer were eating 100 pounds of corn before the hogs could get to it. Like in 3 hours, they would eat 100 pounds,
oh,
and I put diesel on it, and it didn't even slow the deer down. They still ate it.
seriously."
Yep.
Wow. See, I didn't know that the deer would still eat it. Oh,
Me
interesting.
either. That's the one and only time I'd use diesel.
Huh. So your YouTube channel, it's a wildlife. How long have you been doing that?
I've actually just got the notification like a week ago. 15 years I've been doing it, and I started doing it just to kind of document my own hog hunts. When I would
Hmm.
go out solo and hog hunt with dogs, I'd go out by myself and catch hogs, and I just wanted a scrapbook that I could go back to and watch my hunts.
Mm.
And then a few of them went viral, and I got monetized and started making a little bit of money with it. I'm like, man, this is cool. I can actually make a little bit of money while doing this. So we've been kind of more serious about it the past 5 or 6 years.
So how many
Um,
subscribers do you have?
I think we got a little over 270,000,
Nice.
and we're gaining about 10,000 subscribers a month. And um, the biggest thing is lately is YouTube censorship has gotten so sensitive. It's really hard to be a hunting YouTube channel. Everything that the person wants to watch and wants to click on and see, I'll have to blur it out. And then they're like, "Why are you blurring out the best part? This is literally what I came to see." And I'm like, "Well, if I don't blur it out, YouTube demonetizes the whole video or actually takes it down." So
Hmm.
that's the struggle I've dealt with lately is
So like if
YouTube
you were
censorship.
sticking a hog, which I know you don't do that much hog dogging anymore, but that would be something you'd have to blur out or like shooting the
Hog
hog. Like
dogs
what?
in general, even the hogs squealing. I had them flag a video recently. There was no dogs involved. We trapped these hogs. The hogs are just running around the trap, hitting the side of the trap and squealing. And they flagged it and said this is violence. No blood, no injuries, just the hogs running around. And I've got about
Golly.
10, different stories like that where they've flagged videos recently. I don't know.
If
I don't
any,
know how.
these companies just need somebody with some testosterone overseeing them. It's just like pandering to the wussification of society.
It
they have
makes no
such
sense to
influence.
me because
They are wussifying society because they're like where are people consuming stuff? Social media, YouTube. They're not watching the news really anymore to the degree that they did when we were kids. Our parents watched the news probably. Nobody watches it. Not nobody. Most people don't watch the news. I get all my news from clips off of social media pretty much.
yeah. Well, who's going to click on a hog hunting video and they'd be sensitive to the shot of the hog? Like you
Right. That's
walked
your own
into that.
fault then.
Yeah, right.
Buyer beware.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, that's ridiculous. So you have triplets. How old are your boys?
they're 5.
Does Florida have any kind of age restriction on when they can start hunting?
I don't think so, but they're. I
Neither does
took them on
Texas.
I took them on a fox squirrel hunt about a year ago, and that's you can be loud and you're covering a lot of ground, and that was a lot of fun. They enjoyed that, but none of them have really. We just went on a python and iguana hunt with Trapper Mike, Python Cowboy, down there in
Yeah.
South Florida this past weekend, and we were contemplating bringing one of them. Thank God we didn't. They could have done the iguana hunt from the boat. There's no way they could have done the python hunt. We explored and covered 7 islands out in the middle of the Everglades and the nastiest stuff you can imagine, covered in thorns before we found the first python. So
Mm,
they couldn't have done that. But yeah,
yeah.
they're a little young. I don't want to push them into it. Like I started riding with my dad when I was 4, but I was obsessed with it from the beginning.
Hmm.
Obsessed. And we were dog hunting for deer as well. So you can be a little noisier, and stay in the truck. If the deer's coming this way, I'd stay in the truck. My dad'd be on the top of the box with the rifle, waiting for the dogs, the deer. But that was it's interesting with my boys. When I was a kid, we dog hunted for deer, and you might see one deer a whole weekend, and it's a brown flash going across the road. So it almost made the deer like a mythical creature,
Mm,
and it made me more obsessed with him. Like, oh my gosh, there was a deer. That's incredible. Let's go look at his tracks. A deer was right here. This is
yeah.
crazy. Well, my boys look out the front window and they'll see 10 deer in the yard in the morning. So,
Mm,
like seeing deer to them, they're desensitized to it. So that's something that's really bothered me, and I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that. And maybe that's why they haven't really quite shown an interest in hunting yet. They're a little young, but
mm.
it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the hunter and fisherman and taking them one at a time or taking them all at a time. It's just, man, it's like drinking from a fire hose, dude. It is crazy.
Well, I know to a degree. I've got a 13-year-old boy and then identical twin girls that are 11.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
so they are hot on his heels because he always gets to shoot a buck, and now they've each killed a doe,
How old are
and they're
they?
like, but the girls are 11.
Okay.
They just turned 11, and he just turned 13. So they are like, well, I want to shoot a buck now. I'm like, well, you have to take that up with your brother because there's only a certain amount of bucks we can shoot off our leases, and
Yeah.
he kind of one of those is his. So no, but no, they'll get a turn, and he'll just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I've got 2 leases. I can kill, uh, but between me and my family, we can kill 4 bucks, and my wife doesn't hunt, so I give them a hard time. But really, there's a buck for everybody. So
Yeah. That's perfect. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but that's cool. So I think, and I've had this conversation with a lot of guys lately because I think it is a big problem in modern society, and it's something that a lot of Western states specifically, and some other states like Midwestern states, I don't know. I didn't think Florida had a law. And I'm glad to hear that because Florida and Texas are very much aligned, like the way that we do management and politics. And I love Ron DeSantis, but um, with these devices these kids are on nonstop, you lose a lot of them, especially say like, and I don't know what Montana's age is, but say it's 14 years old before you can get a big game license. You've already lost half of those kids. They're not interested. They're now into Fortnite, and that's where their head is nonstop. They don't want to go. No, but if you told them at 9 years old they could go shoot a mule deer or whatever, or tag along, well then you've recruited them, and maybe you've got a lifelong sportsman. Whereas there's a lot of time between 9 and 14, and now you've discovered girls and in your sports and all that. I don't know. I just think that some of these other states need to reassess. Like you're letting kids fall through the cracks that you might have been able to get involved, but life gets in the way, and then you've lost them.
Well, you mentioned the screens, and my kids won't have screens until they're 15. We let them watch like 30 minutes of TV. Like usually it's a YouTube channel that's educational, and we'll let them watch like 30 minutes a week.
Mm-hmm.
Two I grew up with two kids, and it's actually Mike the guy I mentioned earlier that raises deer. His two kids, um, Chris and Alan. They're two of the happiest guys I know. They're a little younger than me, but they're two of the happiest guys I know. Always have a smile on their face. They were raised with no TV. There was no TV in the house, literally no
Mm,
TV.
wow.
And if I could have it that way, I would. I think since we have a TV, it's really hard to like get rid of it because you do so much on it and watch movies and things like that. And I don't have anything against that, but I think that screens, you look at the whole grand spectrum, the whole picture. Humans have been on the earth for thousands of years. How long have we had screens? Maybe 70 years, 60, 70 years?
Mm,
The
yeah.
black and white from the black and white TV. It's such a small fraction of the grand spectrum. And it's artificial stimulation. It's fake.
Yeah.
We are not meant to watch life. We are meant to experience life.
You've read
And,
1984?
yeah, I was born in 85.
But no, I said, have you read 1984?
Oh, no, no, I haven't.
George Orwell? You should read it. He wrote it in the 40s. And I don't know how he could see into the future, but it basically, it's all about like the government, you being a slave to the government. But the way that they do it is you're always on your screen.
Hmm.
Everything's on the screen and controls your mind.
Yep.
And here we are in 2026. And I mean, I wish my kids had some kind of governance. Like we are on day number 4 in a row of snow day here in Texas. No school
Oh,
because the
wow.
roads are too icy.
Mm.
And much like Floridians, I'm sure don't know how to drive when it gets icy, if it ever
Right.
gets icy there. But
Right.
like, my wife put it this way: she's like, "Do you want your kid, since you now have a teenager that's on a school bus, do you want him on the school bus if the roads are icy?" Because I'm over here griping about like, "Oh, these kids need to get out of this house. Why did they cancel school? Everyone has PTSD from the 2021 storm still."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right. If the roads are icy, I don't really want him on the bus." But yeah, they've been on their screens nonstop. I don't know what else to do with them.
Yeah, it's very hard, and I'm sure it'll be harder once my kids get older. It's easier
The
said than
longer
done.
you
But
hold out, the better off you are.
yeah,
But also, it was part of how I got my kids to stay in a deer blind longer.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it was like a double-edged sword. It's like,
right.
here's your snacks. Here's look at this video. I'll tell you
Hmm.
when there's something to see out here.
Such a tricky world to navigate. I mean, when my dad was a kid, they played with rocks and sticks, and they didn't have anything, but they
Right.
they played in the mud and the dirt, and you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
But our
just a
attention
different
spans
world.
are certainly less.
Yeah,
You
and I'm guilty
know.
of it, man. I scroll and scroll, and I'll get on because having the social media that I have, and we have sponsors, and we have to get on and post a certain amount of things, a certain amount of times per month, and
Hmm.
I'll get on to post something, and I'll tell myself like, all right, I'm only gonna get on to post this thing. I click on Instagram, and the first thing that pops up, I'm like, oh, what's that? And then before I know it, I'm 10 minutes in, and I'm like watching these videos. The algorithm makes you do what it wants you to do.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
This is crazy.
Uh huh. So in addition to, like I said, being a passionate hunter, you've got Quick Catch, which is your main business. And how I found you was it was this video of you trapping some geese,
Hmm.
and there's this crazy Karen that
Yep.
just comes out. And so, first of all, how do you bait a trap for geese? Who called you to come remove them? They're Canadian geese, so
Yep.
they're not. I mean, they're a native species, but I mean, as migration
They're
patterns
a
have
native
changed, and
protected species, yeah,
yeah.
because they are anything that the government can make money off of, because
Hmm.
people pay to hunt the geese, so they regulate them,
So then, how
and
can you
so
trap them if they're a migratory game bird?
yeah, we have to have a nuisance permit. That nuisance permit, we apply for it. They give us a certain number of geese. They'll say 40 geese at this location. We just had a golf course about 6 months ago, and they gave
So
us
these are
70.
residents; they're not leaving.
They're resident birds. They
Yeah.
come down here and they don't go back. Yep, and typically, they're worse in the summertime because they're molting, so they don't fly a lot. So they're just like hanging out, pooping They're so messy.
Yeah.
And yeah, with this particular case, it was an HOA, a neighborhood, lots of geese. I think we had 30 or 40 geese on the permit. We'll pre-bait the spot, get them coming to a spot, and then we set up a 40-foot by 40-foot remote controlled drop net. And we set up the net, pre-bait it, set up the net, get them coming and comfortable under the net. There's a lot of work that leads up to this drop point, this moment that we're dropping the net. Well, at this moment, you can see in the video a couple minutes or a couple seconds, 10 seconds before we drop the net, you hear her, in the background say, "I'm not interested in you removing these birds. I'm not interested in you removing these birds." Well, she was pretty interested because as soon as the net dropped, she goes, "Oh my gosh." She comes over there and starts picking the net up, trying to free these geese. And
Yeah.
like I said, lots of work led up to that moment where we are trapping them. And this is money in our pockets. This is a job well done. We're making sure we're removing every goose removed. They're paying us per goose.
Uh-huh.
And so Michael, one of my technicians, he jumps across the net and he told me, he said, I had to really self-restrain to not, he said he wasn't going to like tackle her or hit her, but he wanted to knock her out of the way because she was hands on our equipment trying to remove birds. And
Yeah, she's
he
trying to
just
free the geese.
trying to free the geese. And he just stood over there and said, "Ma'am, you're trespassing. Get out of here." Like, and it's crazy. It's crazy. She was trying to argue that the geese are like the alarm system when there's coyotes or bobcats or any type of threatening animal in the area. They alarm and let the homeowners know, and
Bobcats are so threatening.
so threatening. Yeah, I
Hmm.
did have a bobcat attack a lady one time, and I've got the video on that on my Instagram, I think, or on our YouTube channel, or
Oh,
both.
wow.
That was a rabid bobcat attacked. The dog is she's walking her dog. The bobcat comes and attacks the dog. Well, she pulls the dog like this, and so it locks onto her leg, and she's screaming. And it's just she didn't handle the situation right. But it actually tries to get in the house. She's running in the house, tries to slam the door, and slams the door on the bobcat. It was an incredible video on the Ring camera.
Oh,
Got it,
wow.
but that was the only time. Yeah, bobcats aren't going to mess with you. That was a
Yeah.
rabid bobcat. The first I've ever heard of. There's a guy named, his last name is Mercer. He's in Arizona. He's a bobcat trapper. And I called him and sent him the video. I'm like, "Have you ever seen anything like this or heard anything like this?" And he's like, "That bobcat was 100% rabid. That
Oh,
would
yeah,
never have happened."
for sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, pretty
But so
crazy
you
stuff.
do, what ends up happening with this lady?
Oh, she walked off. She walked off. She said she was going to call the association. She called the association, and they told her like, "No, we hired the company. Like, no, they're nuisance geese. They're causing a problem, and they're they don't belong here."
So what do you do with the geese?
The permit states that we have to euthanize them. The permit actually states that we have to bury them or burn them. Well, those geese we burned over a charcoal grill making goose burgers. I don't know if you're legally allowed to do that, but we don't like to
Yeah,
waste
you
stuff.
you
And
burned them. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so so then I mean we're getting into the details here, but so you've got 40 geese trapped, and do you just shoot them in the head with a pellet gun, wring their neck? What are you doing? And are you
no,
doing it in front of the Karen? Like what happens there?
oh man, I shot a hog in front of another Karen one time, and this lady, oh my gosh, we had a hog tearing up a pond, and I'd been trying to catch these hogs for weeks, and they were coming out in the middle of the day when I wasn't there, so I actually was parked and eating lunch, watching this pond, and for like 3 days in a row, they didn't come. Well, finally, I'm in there doing something else. I drive by and see the hog, and I jump out, and there's a lady walking down the sidewalk. She goes, "What are you gonna do?" And I go, "I'm gonna shoot this hog." She goes, "No!" Boom! I shoot the hog, and she freaks out. But you gotta kind of take the opportunity when it presents itself. But
Yeah.
no, with the Canadian geese, we remove them alive. It's not very professional to shoot them right there in front of people,
Hmm.
and it'll trigger people,
Oh, everyone's
obviously.
got a cell phone. They're gonna be filming it and be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
look
it's
what
just
these
not as
guys
professional.
did."
So we load them up on a big trailer. It's actually our hog trailer we use to transport our hogs, but it's fully contained. And we load them up on there and take them to another spot and then euthanize them at another undisclosed location.
But yeah, so how do you kill them?
Pellet gun to the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. And then throw them on the grill.
Yep.
I saw you were hired to remove some coyotes from an airport.
Yes. Yep.
And
Coyotes
you
and deer.
and you were bow hunting them?
Yeah, well, I wasn't bow hunting the coyotes. We trapped a bunch, and
Uh-huh.
I was just bow hunting the deer. So an airplane actually hit a coyote. We've been trapping for this airport for about 4 years now, and it started with an airplane hit a coyote. Coyotes were coming out in the runway. Airplane hit it. Everybody was okay. Killed the coyote, but obviously presented a danger. Very active airport, and so that's how we were hired. And then this past year, he's like, "Man, I'm starting to see more and more deer, like a lot of deer, and they're starting to come across the runways." And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
we need to manage them. I don't want to kill all of them, just a few." And we ended up killing. My wife killed one, I killed two, and Kendall Gray killed one this a couple weeks ago. And we trapped a bunch of coyotes. Well, I was sitting the first night, I just shot a buck, and I think right before that buck, a coyote comes out. I shoot the coyote with my bow. It runs off, and then I shot the buck, and then a black coyote comes out.
Yeah, it was
So I
cool.
shot the black coyote with my bow. First black coyote I've ever gotten. And then about 2 weeks later, we trapped another black one. So I'm actually going to get them mounted side by side,
Very
full
cool.
body mount. I think it was a male and female.
Uh,
So
yeah.
super cool.
I've never
Color
seen a
codes.
black coyote.
Yeah, they're only in the southeast. From everything I've researched, they're only in the southeast. It's that melanistic genetic. They
Hmm.
don't have them in the west or the Midwest, as far as I know. Only in the southeast, and then there's certain areas where there's just a lot more of them, little pockets of them.
Yeah. So then I saw another video where you guys are pulling a chupacabra out from underneath somebody's house.
So that video, actually, somebody sent me that video. That wasn't us. That was
Okay.
somebody else, and it was a. It looked like a chupacabra. It was just a mangy coyote that had no hair left, and it was underneath somebody's mobile home. And that thing was just, thought it was getting killed, so it was gnashing at the teeth and just
Oh
going
yeah.
crazy as the lady was getting a catch pole around it. But no, that actually wasn't our team. That was somebody else sent me that video, and I shared it.
Yeah. So I shot this one 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
I mean, look at the mange on that thing.
Yeah, all I can see the head, and I see the body looks just mangled up, but I guess that's mange.
Yeah, it was a pretty nasty guy, and I shot it with the thermal, so you can't
Oh,
uh
yeah.
you can't tell until you walk up on it. You're like, I don't
You
know
put
that the
that
thing
out of its misery.
has
Yeah.
mange, and we get up there and we just kind of start laughing. Like, look at this thing was
Mm.
in bad shape, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have planned for 2026 as far as upcoming adventures that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, we're going to Alabama this coming weekend and early next week with Macy Watkins. She's a big social media girl, and her
Hmm.
husband Slade, who's done a lot of filming with Seek One, and has been on a lot of their videos. So we're going with them deer hunting and maybe do some duck hunting while we're there. We're going on a moose hunt, my dad and I, in Alberta in September, I believe, or October, and then doing the mountain lion hunt in December. Don't have a lot scheduled for this year as far as summertime and everything like that. But I want to get some more stuff scheduled. We usually, my wife and I, she's an adventurous. She loves the outdoors. She's by my side like for everything. She's an incredible, incredible, competitive, awesome hunter. She's a better shot than I. When we shot hogs out of the helicopter, she used half the ammo and killed twice the hogs that I did. I mean, she's same with the iguana hunt. She was just headshot, headshot. She's a sniper. They were like, man, you don't want to make her angry.
Yeah.
But we usually do something big for an anniversary. We have our 15-year anniversary coming up in April. So we were talking about going to Spain, doing an ibex hunt. It's really expensive. But so we might not do that,
Hmm.
but we'll probably, do something big and some kind of adventure hunt. That's what we live for.
I'm trying to put together. So my wife has not been on any of my international hunts. Been to Africa 8 times, Argentina,
Wow.
Canada a bunch, and I always invite her. And she's like, "So what are you going to be doing?" I mean, like, I'm going to be in a hunting camp, and that's what we're doing. She goes, "I'm not interested." But the Spanish ibex hunt, I was looking at SCI last year. Like, she'd love to go to Spain and take in the culture and the food and enjoy the wine and all, whatever Spain has to offer while I could go ibex hunting. So she's interested in
Mhm.
that one. So we might be doing
Yeah,
that hunt sometime in the near future as well.
that would be awesome.
Hmm.
That would be awesome. That's like a huge bucket list hunt. I want to go to Africa too. It's just that long flight is what is got me hesitated.
What
But
do you mean long flight?
was it
It's
like
only
20 hours?
yeah. It's like so you can do it quite a few different ways. The way that I've done it the most is through the Middle East, which is like 14 hours to either Doha or Dubai, depending on whether you go Emirates or Qatar. And then you get a shorter flight. After that, it's nice. Then it's only a 9 hour flight to Johannesburg after that.
Yeah.
And then you get a
Which
two
we
hour
flew, it
flight.
was 15 or 16 hours to Australia. We went to
Mm,
Australia and did some persistence hunting with a guy named Andrew Eucles, who is
uh,
an incredible guy. To all the listeners, go check out his YouTube channel. He's gonna look like he stages this stuff and it's like fake because it's so extreme. But he is we were there with him. He is the real deal. There's a video where he catches three red belly black snakes, some of the top venomous snakes in the world, and a tiger snake. fifth venomous snake in the world, all at one time. All at one time, he's got four snakes, and they're all
Oh
strangled at him.
no.
And he
Oh
is just
no.
incredible. He catches a freaking red stag with his bare hands. He's in a water hole and covered in mud. Catches a red stag and wrestles it down. Man, he is awesome. But we went with him,
Oh.
and then we went to New Zealand and hunted that next week, and New Zealand was incredible
For
too.
chamois, tar, red stag, what?
I killed a big red stag, and she killed a tar.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a trip of a lifetime.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Well, so but if you just fly straight from Atlanta to Joburg, it's only like 13 hours, one flight. So
Is there
it's
a
the way.
certain time of year that's better for Africa?
I mean, their winter is during our summer, so it's a great time to beat the heat and go over
So
there.
like
And
April would almost be their fall.
April's great. I've been
Okay.
in February, May, June, and July, and
Okay.
it's like temperatures in the might get down into the 40s and highs in the 60s. It's quite nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
yeah. So your YouTube channel is where can folks
It's a
find you?
wild, yeah, it's a wildlife. Quick catch, one word on Instagram. And we have another YouTube channel called Quick Catch. It's more of our professional animal removal type situations, because I don't want to put a lot of the hunting stuff if we're sharing stuff on our news letter for
Hmm.
sending it to our customers type thing. So, but our main YouTube channel is It's a Wildlife. Love for y'all to go and subscribe or at least check out some of the videos. Most of what we do is hog trapping. That seems like what my audience loves, but we want to branch out into more extreme fishing, adventure bow hunting, adventure hunting across the world, just any type of outdoor adventure. And then we have a little channel called Travel Triplets for our
Hmm.
young boys, and
Nice.
that's just we got like 1,000 subscribers, but up and coming, and more of like family traveling, road trips. They go to kids' play places and parks and Florida Aquarium and Georgia Aquarium and Disney and things like that. More for
Right on.
kids.
Very cool. Well, man, I certainly appreciate the time, Ryan. Thank you so much. Good
Yeah,
luck
thanks for
in
having me.
Alabama, and God bless.
You too, brother. Appreciate you having me.
All right.